Here we are, everyone. Welcome. It's 6:30. We are going to start promptly on time here. I have a bunch of stuff to say to you all, to welcome you and to get us going tonight. Again, if you didn't hear me before, I'll be your moderator this evening. My name is Lynn Hogan. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. To all current holistic health practice clients and patients, and a special welcome to those who have yet to visit HHP and have taken an interest in this workshop. It is wonderful to have you all here, and we at HHP hope that you are all keeping safe and staying healthy during this unprecedented time. Again, my name is Lynn. I'll be your moderator for today's workshop, and you can also see me at the front desk at 1 East Superior as our Administrative Services Associates. All the presentations that you're going to be hearing today are governed by the theme, Practices and Techniques for Moving from Surviving to Thriving in the Corona Bubble and Beyond. Each of today's speakers are practitioners at Holistic Health Practice. I'll be introducing them individually prior to their 10-minute presentations. We anticipate wrapping up today's workshop at about 8:15 p.m. If any of you practitioners, please do me a favor, if you could please go ahead and mute your audio right now. I'm hearing a little bit of background noise. Want to make sure we take care of that. Thank you. Since you tested earlier, I know you're not muted again. Thank you for doing that. And right now, what I'm going to do for you all is I'm chatting you the information for us here at Holistic Health Practice, our website address, and our contact information via email and our phone number. We encourage you, if you've got specific questions about anything you've heard tonight that you'd like to spend more time discussing, to please reach out to us. And go to the website if you'd like to see all of the services that we offer and what each of our individual practitioners' specialties and areas of interest are. You'll see that in just a minute. I'll chat that to you shortly. Following today's presentations, I'll be hosting a question and answer session. We ask that you please hold off on posing any questions of our practitioners until all of them have had the opportunity to present to you. That way we can keep moving things along. We encourage you, in order to ask a question, to use your chat function to private message me, and you can find me, moderator Lynn, at the bottom of your screen. You'll see that chat button. Click on my name only, moderator Lynn, and then click on the upside down triangle next to the blue box that says everyone to scroll down to my screen name so that you can find it. Again, moderator Lynn. I'll choose a few of the questions that are sent to me to ask during the approximately 10-minute Q&A at the end of our presentations today. Please do us a favor of limiting your questions to the scope of what we'll be discussing today. I also suggest that you put your screen on speaker view so that you can best experience the individual presentations. If you don't already know how to do that in Zoom, it's in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. You're most likely looking at gallery view right now, which are all the tiled windows. If you put it on speaker view, you're gonna only see me, and you're gonna see probably a list of boxes on the right-hand side of me because I'm the only one that's speaking right now. So that's probably going to give you the best experience of the presentations, so that you can zoom in on each individual practitioner as they're speaking. Your mute function, as you already know, has been enabled. Thank you for please maintaining that during the duration of the presentations. And then for Q&A, you can all unmute yourselves. And when your question is asked, we'd love for you to introduce yourself so you can let us know who you are and who's asking the question, and you can have a direct conversation with the practitioner or practitioners that you're asking your question of. If you don't know where your mute button is, it's on the lower left corner of your screen. You'll see that right now it has a red slash through it because you're muted. You can hit that to unmute. And we also really want to thank you for honoring that so that we can prevent any unanticipated background noise during the presentations. Please say hello to my cats. This is Minko. I may have to shut him out for the rest because he is very noisy. Might I also recommend that you might turn off your video camera. You're going to find that to the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Should you want to just sit and listen and view, but not be seen, or if you have to get up and move around, anything like that, please enable the mute on your video function. I'd like to offer us the opportunity before we get started with our presentations to ask any questions if you've got them at this time. You'll need to unmute to do that, but I'll ask you to mute that back up if anyone does have any questions before we get started. Great, thanks so much for being here. And let's get started. Our first presenter is Kurt Hill Sr. And Kurt, of course, is the founder and owner of Holistic Health Practice. Believing that, quote, body, mind, and spirit are not separate, but distinguished, and therefore should be treated as whole, Kurt has developed advanced psychosomatic character therapy, or APCT, his own integrated approach to wellness. In alignment with his mind-body-spirit approach, Kurt is a nationally board-certified licensed professional counselor and holds his master's degrees in both counseling and divinity, a license in massage therapy, and certifications in a wide range of bodywork, energy medicine, and intuitive disciplines. In addition to his healing work with individuals, couples, groups, and families, Kurt is a lecturer, educator, and the author of Call of the Dragon, Behold the Pleroma, available on Amazon. The title of his presentation is Body, Mind, Spirit Techniques to Enhance Stability During Stressful Times. Kurt, you can go ahead and unmute and you can start your presentation. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kelly, and welcome to each and every one of you. And I'll give a nod to the practitioners and everyone who has worked so assiduously to present this marvelous presentation. My presentation today is focused on you. And why? Because you are perfectly you. No one can be a better you. And why is that? Because you unfold to your own perfection. Who was it? Aristotle that said that when we come here to this planet, to this dimension, we bring something called L.Ac. And leave it to Aristotle. He, of course, confused us all by saying L.C. is the actualization of form-giving cause in contrast with potential existence. That's confusing. So Teilhard de Chardin said, easy. All it is your dynamic purpose that's encoded in you. So you can't leave without it, and it can't leave without you. Therefore, whatever you desire will materialize. It was very interesting that some centuries later that Adler said, we live in our expectations. And so being in touch with ourselves, being in touch with consciousness, being in touch with the time we exist in is extremely important. And why is that? Well, just think about it. As Einstein said, imagination gives shape, form, and color to unformed mental energy. And therefore, what you can imagine, you bring into consciousness. And consciousness is very vital to what is going on in your life. But we must be in touch also with the unconscious, bringing it forward from out of us into this realm of possibilities. What we've learned in the course of working with holistic energy, medicine, psychology, practicing in the manner in which we practice in healing, is that we work with the fact that you are already there, waiting for yourself to show up. This is how it happens. So if you can imagine a thing or bring it to mind, it automatically begins to materialize. And there's so much data in that zone until it's fascinating to see. And I say all this not to be academic, but to give you the hope and something to hold on to and grasp during this time of challenge where there's so much stress, there's so much depression, there's a great deal of anxiety. But what's important is to remember that your purpose protects you and that it is vital for you to center into yourselves and realize that I am no accident, that my being here is necessary. This is not an accident. And therefore, what I came here to do, I came here to do as me. And therefore, I am perfectly me. You see, you're enough. And so we are faced with diseases. We're faced with turmoil. We're faced with this dysfunctional virus that's frightening us all. And certainly we don't have answers for, but we do have one answer. And that is the answer that we call from within ourselves, which is, what is our knowing? And our knowing says, you are here. You are here and now, and it allows us to make decisions of peace about how we intend to exist. Wasn't it Hegel that said, existence and essence are one and the same? Therefore, you are vast. And as Bruce Lipton said later on, much later on, he said that it's not our genetics, it's our belief systems that create programs within us. And so here's an opportunity for us to alter and change those programs that may be interfering with our focus. We have an opportunity here to unfold through our own perfection and do good in the world. And we have all that through this electromagnetic system we call a human existence. That's fascinating, all of it. One of the things that we definitely inculcate at the practice is that knowing that here in our existence, your purpose protects you. And so the last thing, the lower vibration that you're dealing with is fear. And fear is at a lower vibration. And we try to get you to understand to up that vibration. You can do that through tuning fork therapy, through meditation. There are a host of things that the other practitioners will certainly talk to you about today and share. I'm excited to mention some of the pioneers, some of the researchers in this field. Dr. Myers in extraordinary knowing, Paracus in core energetics, energy psychology with Gallo, implementing mindfulness, which is so very vital to each and every one of us, this concept of mindfulness and understanding. Tools that you can use in your very home. I'm not ruling out the pharmaceutical assistance that you have gotten or need. That may be vital or helpful, but you also have the power of a mindfulness. Your breath can do so much, given the right methodology to help you stay calm in this time of turmoil. There's energy psychology along with energy medicine. There are techniques that one can use that will be demonstrated toward the end of this lecture. I know that fear and uncertainty have surrounded us, and that is because we are dealing with a lack of direction. And we know that in the absence of information, there is anxiety. And so today, numerous healers have come forward, practitioners from holistic health, to step forward to help you with directions toward healing that will help you center and ground yourself. You are vital to your own healing, because at Holistic Health, we talk in terms of a partnership. We invite you to join us in directing you back into your power. And that power is located at your center. And the center is found by using certain definite, tried and researched techniques. I want to thank you today for giving us an opportunity to chat with you about power, consciousness, stabilization, and how to engage with stress. In closing, I want to show just one thing, if you can see me, and that's in crossing your hands one over the other in this manner, putting it on your chest and taking 6 deep breaths, gently, quietly, while moving your hands up and down like butterflies, is a technique called the butterfly method. And as you're doing it, it's distracting the anxiety and has been known to offer calmness, especially for people dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. Another technique is a compression technique, which when you're really nervous and afraid, putting the hands together and pressing forward as hard as you can, really hard, for a count of 30, and then releasing. And then doing it again for a count of 30, and then releasing. And these methods have been tried and done a number of times with people who, who have post-traumatic stress disorder or complaints. You know, there are so many things you're going to learn today and hear, and they're exciting. So I'm going to wrap up here and say thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you. Remember, you are necessary. If you are here, you are supposed to be here. But I am glad I had the opportunity to have a moment with you to just discuss the power of you. Thank you very much, Kelly.
Thanks so much, Kurt. That was a really wonderful beginning to the evening. And thank you for launching us into the rest of our practitioners' presentations tonight. So next, we have holistic healer Tara Sullivan. She has a master's in creativity and spirituality and is licensed in massage with a focus on deep tissue and psychosomatic release. She uses a combination of intuition, energetic practices, and coaching in concert with body work to help clients and groups, both in person and online, identify and release physical and emotional blockages. Tara is also the author of the soon-to-be-released book, The Church of Tara, 10 Commandments for Getting Out of Your Own Way and Allowing Your Best Life to Unfold. Her presentation is titled, Mitigating the Energetic Impact of the Fight or Flight Response to Trauma. Tara.
Thanks, Kelly. And thank you, Kurt. Hi, everyone. I'm going to switch into gallery view so I can actually see all your faces. That's so much better. Hi. First of all, I want to acknowledge the stress soup that we are all swimming in. I think that it's really easy for those of us who are not on the front lines right now to discount what it is that we're feeling as being somehow wrong or unwarranted, right? For most of us, we're sitting at home, we are safe, we have enough food, we have Netflix. We shouldn't be that stressed, right? Except for that we are in this space where we are endangered, and we know that. We're being bombarded by news left, right, and center. The numbers keep going up. We are in a space where our bodies know that we are in danger. And because we are swimming in it 24/7 these days, it is this low-grade, constant trauma. Now, if I tap on my shoulder here like this, right? It's no big deal. I could take this. Could probably take several minutes of this, just like we could take a few days at home watching Netflix, no big deal. Like once upon a time, that would have been a really great idea, right? A couple days at home, nothing to do, yay. Except for that if I do this for a whole day, probably by the end of the day, I'm gonna be sore in this spot. And after 8 weeks, I probably will have worn a hole through my shoulder. So that low grade stress really does have an impact on us. We're like frogs in the pot, right? We've been on simmer now for 8 weeks, and the fact that it's starting to get hot and uncomfortable is not really a surprise. So the way that fight or flight works, right? The way it's meant to work is that, we find ourselves in a place of stress. We are threatened in some way. A saber-toothed tiger is coming at us. We either want to stay and punch it in the nose, or we want to hoof it out of there as quickly as possible. Now, what the body does in those moments is it actually shuts off a lot of the normal responses. If we're running away from the saber-toothed tiger, we don't want to be thinking about how sad we're going to be because we're never going to see our grandmother again if we get eaten. And we also don't want to be paying attention to the fact that, oh, I just tore the muscle in the back of my leg, because those aren't going to help us to get away from the saber-toothed tiger. We're going to notice those kinds of things after the trauma has left, after we are out of danger. Well, because we are in this space of constant stress, we are living in fight or flight right now. And it is normal in fight or flight. You will find that you start to breathe pretty shallowly and high in your chest. Now, if you were to start doing this under normal circumstances, this shallow breathing up high, what you would notice is that it starts to create anxiety even when you don't have anxiety. And then the anxiety creates more shallow breathing, which then creates more anxiety, and it just goes around and around and around. And that's the parasympathetic nervous system. That's what handles fight or flight. It is telling us that shallow breathing is telling us that we are being threatened and that we should be concerned about it. So the way to stop that is to begin to breathe low and slow and deep down in the body. And this sends a signal to our parasympathetic system to shut down and let the autonomic nervous system take back over, which puts us back into that place of rest where we no longer feel threatened. Now, from an energetic perspective, what we as healers find is that not only does our breathing come up here, but our energy comes up here as well. You think about those times when you're very scared or you're very anxious, and you will find that you are probably only feeling your chest and your throat and your head, right? As kids, we learn to disassociate. We learn to pull ourselves up and out of situations that we have no control over removing ourselves from. So we take our energy away. Well, it works well enough that we've never really replaced it. So along with this fight or flight, which is built into the body, energetically, we're also working on trying to get out of our bodies. And our bodies act like insulation. So once we're up and out, all of a sudden we're feeling everything. It's incredibly easy to get overwhelmed by the world when we're in fight or flight because our bodies are no longer protecting our energetic selves. So again, that low, slow, deep breathing helps us to settle back into our bodies, to come back into the insulation that is the body, and to re-regulate ourselves and come out of that parasympathetic and into the autonomic. So what I would like to do today, just as a good start for all of us, is to run us through a little bit of a grounding breathing exercise and help all of us to sort of come into a space where we're no longer so much in our fight or flight so that we can receive the information that everybody's going to bring. So all of that said very quickly, I invite you all to close your eyes and exhale. Just let the whole day drop. If you notice any tension that you're holding in your body, see if you can give that to your chair or your sofa, whatever you happen to be sitting on. Let all of the weight of that drop down and away from you. And I invite you to take 3 long, slow, deep breaths. Now I want you to imagine that you have a fist clenched at the base of your spine. And I don't want you to do anything. In fact, I want you to stop making any effort to keep that fist closed and just allow it to open. Allow the fingers of that fist to unfurl in their own time, at their own pace, gently. And I invite you to breathe into this space through your tailbone.
Tara, I'm going to stop you right here. If you can hear me, we are going in and out a little bit on your audio. So go back to when you started tailbone.
Gotcha. You're in your tailbone. You're breathing in through that space, and you breathe in warmth and light. And when you exhale anything dark and cold and stagnant, so that on each inhale, you're expanding that space, and on every exhale, it's becoming larger. You're letting go of anything that no longer serves so that you've got some more space. And just breathe here, feeling your tailbone, feeling the space opening up. And once you can feel that space, I invite you to drop yourself down out of your head and through the well of your body, down past your throat and your heart and your belly, until you come to rest in the bowl of your pelvis. Just allow yourself to rest, cradled, like a penny sinking to the bottom of a wishing well, or a leaf floating gently down from a tree. Just allow yourself to come to rest, sinking down, plugging yourself back into your pelvis the way we plug our cell phones into their chargers. Just rest here. There's nothing to do except be. Be with your breath and be with your body. And the nice thing about the breath is that it's always available to you. This is a technique that you can use anywhere, at any time, any place. When you start to feel yourself pulling up and out of your body, when you start to feel that panic rising, just remember to breathe yourself back down and into your tailbone, to plug yourself back into your body and to come back into space with yourself. From this space, instead of being only reactive to whatever's coming at you, you can be proactive, which means you can make better choices for yourself in the long term. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me and with your breath and with your tailbone. Happy pelvis is all. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Tara. That was wonderful. Our next speaker is Dr. Amie Shimmel Handa. She is a licensed acupuncturist and chiropractor, board certified in traditional Chinese medicine. Her clinical practice focuses on pain management, stress reduction, and intestinal dysfunction. Utilizing her 31 years of practice experience, she will discuss how it's possible forgive my timer. She will discuss how it's possible in the safety and in the comfort of your own home to transform the nervous system, foster relaxation, and reduce anxiety to cultivate harmony and joy now. Her presentation is titled The Vagus Nerve and Acupressure, Easy Techniques to Reset the Nervous System for Calmness and Stress Reduction. Dr. Shimmel, Handa.
Thank you, Kelly. And Kurt and Tara, you guys did such a great job. Those are hard acts to follow. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Amie, for those who don't know me. Tonight, I'm going to discuss acupressure and vagus techniques to calm down the nervous system and relax the body. Now, a lot of you probably are familiar with acupuncture, but far fewer are familiar with the concept of acupressure. So acupressure works the same way as acupuncture, but you're using your fingers instead of acupuncture needles. What's great about acupressure, it's so easy to do and you can do it at home. The wonderful thing about acupressure and acupuncture is a lot of people think it's woo-woo magic and there's a lot of myths about acupressure and acupuncture, but there's actually a lot of science and research around acupressure and acupuncture. So tonight I'd like to discuss 3 pressure points that will help reduce anxiety and calm down the body. And I'd like all of you to follow with me doing these points. So the first point is called pericardium 6. So I'm going to have everyone raise their hand up, and you're going to find these 2 tendons in your wrist, and you're going to put 3 finger breaths down until you hit a tender spot. And then you're going to rub this gently in a circular motion. You're going to do this for a minute or 2, and this point is great for the heart. It's great for relaxing the body. There is a direct connection to the heart with this point. It's great for relaxing the mind. It's very helpful too to close your eyes and do deep breathing with this. Great. The second point is called Ren 17. You're going to take 3 fingers and put on the sternum bone right here. And you're going to rub in a circular direction while breathing in and out. The nickname for this is also called Open the Breath because it's great for opening up the lungs, the heart, and breathing better. And as you do this, you can actually feel yourself start to relax. So I'm going to have everyone close their eyes and breathe deep. The technique that Tara just mentioned, or the deep breathing part. Awesome. The third point is yin tang, which is located in between the eyebrows. You're going to take 1 finger and put it in between the eyebrows and rub in a circular motion. And this one's great for calming down the mind and thinking clearly. With all of these techniques, you want to keep your eyes closed because when you close your eyes, you're actually cutting out 90% of the sensory input into your brain. So it just naturally, you're going to feel more calmer, keeping your eyes closed. Also continue to breathe with these points too, the slow, deep breathing. The acupressure points help you take control of your health. When you do something like these pressure points, you're making a difference for your body, a difference that can make a huge difference. Now I'm going to go through another technique that is great to calm down the body and reset the nervous system. And it's about the vagus nerve. So what is the vagus nerve and why is this nerve like a game changer? It makes such a difference. The reason why it's such a game changer is because it resets the nervous system and it has so many different functions. The vagus nerve, just a little bit about it, it's the 10th cranial nerve and it goes from your brain stem through your neck or inside the neck to your heart, your lungs, your stomach, your gut. It has so many different functions. And in order to understand the power of the vagus nerve, it's important to understand a little bit about the nervous system. So the nervous system is, just like Tara was mentioning, has two different parts, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And the sympathetic is what we've all have been experiencing lately, the fight or flight, the stress, the feeling panicky, like a lot of the time. And this parasympathetic is your rest and relaxation part of the nervous system. So what's great about the vagus nerve is it resets the parasympathetic nervous system and calms down the body. So it operates within this parasympathetic system and helps relax the whole body. Now, what are some of the functions of the vagus nerve? It provides movement in your neck so that you can swallow and speak. Pretty important right now. It also helps you breathe and helps connect to the diaphragm and lungs. It also helps the blood pressure and keeping your heart stable. There's also a direct connection with the immune system, and it also sends signals to reduce inflammation in the body. The other thing it does is it helps your brain and gut communicate. So it gives you that gut feeling. And that's so important because a lot of people, they have these gut instincts, and when the vagus nerve is telling you something, when your gut's telling you something, it really is telling you something because a whole part of the whole nervous system is inside the gut. I'll explain that in a minute a little bit more. The other function of the vagus nerve is it helps you relax and it makes you feel calmer. And now a lot of people are surprised, like, oh my gosh, the vagus nerve does so much. Why have I not heard about this? Why, if it's such an important nerve, why am I not knowing more about it? And to be honest, I'm not sure, but it is a game changer. Once you know about this nerve and learn some techniques to tone it, it can make such a big difference in your life. So I'm going to go over some techniques to help relax and not relax, but tone the vagus nerve, stimulate the vagus nerve, and have it functioning better. Before I go over these techniques, I want to mention one more thing about the vagus nerve. One of the things that happens in life is sometimes we get some damage to our bodies, our necks, from sitting at a computer. So those are some of the reasons why your vagus nerve might get affected and not function as well. So this is kind of like resetting the vagus nerve. So I'd like you to do some of these techniques with me together. The first one you will not be able to do with me is splashing cold water on your face or taking an ice cold shower. So this is a real game changer. If you wake up every single morning and take an ice cold shower, it instantly relaxes you. So that one, singing stimulates the vagus nerve. Laughing stimulates the vagus nerve. Meditating stimulates the vagus nerve. And then the last one, what Tara mentioned too, is the deep breathing. So I'd like all of you to do this one with me, and we're going to end with this. I'm going to have everyone put their hands on their belly, close your eyes, and you're going to be breathing in through your nose, not your mouth. And you're going to count for 4 or 5 seconds in, and then slowly count 4 or 5 seconds out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to let it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. And you're going to do that for a minute or two. So this is something you can do daily and get your body instantly into a more relaxed state. Excellent. Everyone did a wonderful job. It was wonderful being here tonight with everyone, a real pleasure. And I look forward to answering any questions at the end, if there are any for me. Thank you very much. Kelly?
Dr. Amie, thank you so much. That was great. I have questions for you, so I'm writing them down. And just as a reminder to everyone, if you do have a question for any of our practitioners, chat it to me. Chat it privately to me at moderator Kelly Lynn. I'm going to be scribing down all the questions that we have, and then I will be addressing them to our practitioners, and you can speak with them directly when we're done with our presentations. So our next presenter is Sherry Belcher, CN. She holds an MS in clinical nutrition and has studied both Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine approaches. As a nutrition expert, she helps empower individuals and groups to make changes in diet, shift beliefs about food and health, achieve wellness goals, and advocate for self-healing. She's the author of 3 books and recently launched a mentorship program for those interested in establishing a nutrition-based business. Her presentation is titled, Building a Health Stimulus Program. Sherry.
Thanks, Kelly. First, I want to give a shout out to Kurt and Sarah for hosting this, and for Kelly and Tara for their hard work. So thank you guys for that, for making this happen. So now on to the health stimulus plan that I have for everyone. You know, during these times, I think that we have an opportunity. Our focus is a little bit more on our health right now. And I think that we can really use that not from a place of fear, but at a place of empowerment, that we can look at and evaluate our health and all areas of our life and really focus in on how are we sleeping and what are our thoughts and what kind of things do we bring into our world, you know, from news to emails to the kind of entertainment that we do. Certainly my specialty is in nutrition, and that's where I want to focus, but I think it's an opportunity for us to really take back authority in our health and our life, and to really evaluate a lot of areas in our life on where we can make some different choices and changes. And we probably have more time, many of us have more time, that we can really focus and work on these kind of changes. So first and foremost on everyone's mind right now is their immune system. So when it comes to your immune system, the basic things that you really want to make sure you have enough of in your diet, I recommend it through diet, and you can take some supplements, but the supplements are not going to work if you don't get these things through your diet. So vitamin C is the basic thing that you want to get in. You can get these in through not just citrus fruit, but you can get them through bell peppers and broccoli and Brussels sprouts and kiwi and different things like that. So, and herbs are a great source of vitamin C. Zinc is something else that you want to get enough of in your diet, and a multivitamin may have enough of these nutrients that you need if you change your diet. So zinc, seeds and nuts and beans have a fair amount of zinc. You want to get in vitamin D. Vitamin D is a little tough to get enough of through diet, so usually supplementation is what you need for vitamin D. And selenium. These are the basic nutrients that the body uses to help fortify your immune system, to help call upon the troops where needed inside of your immune system. I generally don't recommend people taking a lot of immune supplements in anticipation of getting sick. I think you want to save those and use those for when you actually start to feel like you're getting something. So those basic things we can get through diet, and again, a multivitamin. A good way to get in some of these nutrients and the immune properties of things like garlic and onion, they have a little bit different immune properties, is to do something like pestos. I made a parsley pesto with pumpkin seeds and lemon and garlic and green onion. It's a simple one. You can use any herb. Herbs are incredibly high, not just in vitamin C, in phytonutrients and things that help your body overall. Because really when it comes to your body, what we want to look at is, where do we have deficiencies? We want to fill in those deficiencies and those gaps. Where do we have toxicities? We want to try to get rid of all the toxicities that we can. A lot of toxicities with us usually reside in liver overload or gut not being healthy. We want to get rid of the toxicities. We want to fill in the deficiencies, and everything can work optimally. Because really with this virus or anything that you come across in your health, you know, if your system is strong and you have the nutrients that you need available, the body always wants to right itself and the body always wants to go back to health. So I really just advocate for everybody putting their system in the best place that you can. So whatever comes your way, that you can help fight things a little bit better. Now, outside of your immune system, certainly those who know me know that I advocate for a lot of vegetables and putting in good quality fats into your diet, and keeping your blood sugar stable, whatever you need to do, you know, to do that, but also getting proper sleep. And some of your sleep is certainly determined on what you eat or what you don't eat in your diet. And I think looking at the gut and how well you digest, and to the point of what everyone has mentioned so far about our nervous system, you know, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. I call the parasympathetic the rest and digest one. If you will make a point of putting yourself in the parasympathetic state through deep breathing and the different things that Amie had also recommended, your body absorbs nutrients a lot better. You utilize your nutrients. When you stay in that flight or fight mode, your body does not get the biggest benefit, even if you are taking supplements and even if you do have a good diet. So being able to slow the body down a little bit to get in that rest and digest mode also will help you really absorb the nutrients that you need and get them working the way that they really need to work. We're coming into summer now, and you know, just simple things you can do is incorporate like the herbs I mentioned. They're easy enough to grow. Even if you just have a patio, balcony, or even a south-facing window, you can grow a lot of your own herbs. Microgreens are something that are very easy to grow as well. Those are just baby greens. You could get arugula or radish or Brussels sprouts or anything. They're different than actual sprouts. These grow in soil, and there's a few companies that you can get microgreens and grow them yourself. So I think just to have access to your own vegetables and your own microgreens, I think is one good step that you can take in your health, and it keeps you away from the grocery store hopefully a little bit longer. Gets you cooking a little bit more. I think to have that kind of self-care right now of cooking for yourself more. We're all being forced to anyway. I think that also, cooking can be a very parasympathetic for some people. If you don't enjoy cooking, maybe it's not very parasympathetic for you, but cooking can be a very parasympathetic kind of activity. And if your body slows down enough and absorbs the food, again, it helps your immune system, it helps your overall health. We've seen with the virus in particular that the people who are coming into it with certain diseases on certain medications generally are not faring as well. And you need what you need. That's certainly not a judgment call. But to really take this time again and to look at what you're putting in your mouth or what you're not doing and see where you can take steps and choices to again become your own authority in your health. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Sherry. That was so informative. And thank you, everybody who's sending me questions. We have really good questions coming up at the end of our presentations today. So now we are going on to Derek Q. Milligan. He is Peak Performance Strategist at Holistic Health Practice. He's a technology marketer and Ironman turned fitness professional, specializing in, quote, smart training for highly effective people. Milligan's work ethic combines his numerous professional certifications with Leonard's mastery process and Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's flow theory to guide his clients into peak fitness and personal and professional performances. Derek is also the founder and director of Team Dream, a training program and multi-sport fitness social network for women of color. Derek.
Thank you, Kelly. I just wanted to thank everyone for being here, taking time on your Friday night. You know, there's a lot of other things you could do. I also want to thank my holistic health practice colleagues. These presentations not only have been wonderful, but they've been life affirming. So thank you all for doing the work that you do. Before I get into my presentation, I'm way into music. I don't do anything without music. So we're gonna just have a little music. And Kelly, if you can give me a thumbs up in terms of being able to hear it while still being able to hear my voice. Is that a good volume level?
Just a little bit louder.
A little louder?
Yeah. That's great, Eric. Oh, wait, a little bit softer now that we've got vocal.
Right there?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So we want to be a calming agent. Before I get into my presentation, I want us all to just take 10 seconds. You can close your eyes, you can leave your eyes open, but just a moment of silence where we think about those who've been hurt by this crisis, whether it's been physically, spiritually, economically, but this is a global phenomenon and we haven't seen it in this lifetime. So just 10 seconds. Power of story. You know, story is at once one of the world's great traditions, as well as one of the great technologies. In this situation, we can lean on story to pull us through some very, very tough situations. Throughout this lifetime, each of us will be required to take leaps of faith into deep waters, answer a higher calling, or take greater risks. That's from one of my triathletes, Darlene Denard. The time is now. We cannot be slowed or weakened by those cute intimidators of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. As of today, we've lost 60,299 American lives to the coronavirus. And the World Health Organization says an increase in symptoms of depression and anxiety are already being reported in a number of countries in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic. When there's no ritual, it is replaced by addiction. A powerful sage, shaman, healer, and somewhat playfully strange bear of a man named Kurt Hill said those words to me more than a decade ago. These words ring loudly today. Rituals are important. Here are a few of the organizations I've moved forward, just in case you need to know that I'm coming through the door with a whole posse behind me, as you've seen my wonderful colleagues show. So let's talk about the hero's journey. Related to popular films, plot diagrams, types of literary conflict, the hero's journey is a recurring pattern of stages many heroes undergo over the course of their stories. You've likely observed them in some of your favorite films. Considering this crisis we're in is biblical, I'll leave this slide up a little longer. That's a shout out to one of my colleagues. And it's always nice to celebrate an American hero. So training your hero's journey, we need to look at you as a hero in your own story, in your own personal narrative. But before we get into your story and how to address it, let's talk about training. What most coaches and trainers don't really want to tell you is that it's a very simple formula. We're talking about stress, rest, adaptation, and then you repeat. Stress, what physical stress you put on your body to get stronger, to challenge it. Rest is your recovery mode so that you can improve. If you don't have enough rest, it doesn't matter how much stress you put on your body, you're going to get sick or injured. And adaptation. When we challenge ourselves, we grow to meet the challenges. Then replay. So say it with me. Stress, rest, adaptation, replay and remix. It's that simple. So I mentioned the hero's journey. It comes in a lot of different forms. Joseph Campbell coined it. Everyone from Spielberg to Lucas have used it very successfully. But the stages actually can be from 7 different stages to 17. Today we're going to focus on a 12-stage model. So this slide may not be as clear in this smaller form, but I'm going to break down each stage to you. And we're using 12 stages with status quo being at the midnight to 12 o'clock area. So status quo, this is where we begin, as well as it's where we end. Call to adventure. The hero, that's you, receives a mysterious message, an invitation, a challenge. 2 o'clock, assistance. The hero needs some help, probably from someone older or wiser. You got a whole bunch of practitioners looking to help you and support you. 3 o'clock, departure. Crosses the threshold from normal, safe home, and enter into a special world or adventure. You're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. Trials. Being a hero is hard work. The hero must solve a problem, solve a riddle, slay a monster, escape from a trap. Reflect on the traps in your life. Approach. Time to face the biggest ordeal, the hero's worst fear. Crisis. 6 o'clock. This is the hero's darkest hour. Faces death and possibly even dies, or key parts of the hero dies and is reborn. Treasure. As a result, the hero claims some special power or recognition. Result. This can vary from story to story. You know the results when you come through the ashes. Return. After all that adventure, the hero returns to his or her ordinary world. New life. This quest changed for the better, has outgrown her old life. Resolution. All the targeted pilot lines get straightened out. Sorry, targeted plot lines. And then status quo. You're back to your normal world, but you're upgraded. You're at a new level. Nothing's the same. A new status quo has raised you. So there's lots of ways of looking at it. We could have paths to take you all through the journey. This is just a sampling. There's lots of tools we can use, from Maslow's hierarchy right on through the taxonomy of learning by Bloom. But I want you to really lock in on what is your story? What is your narrative? It can be a race, but you can prepare yourself. Getting through this ordeal, we're all gonna lock into some very powerful stories. Whether you're a multi-gold medal winner, as Simone Manuel, multiple world champions, or you're a 55-year-old man just trying to get through the day, missing the water. But we're all connected in this life. So I want you to love your hero. Be great and fly. I'm going to leave you with a poem that was written by my son. I didn't even know he could write. But this is what he shared about this crisis. The F virus. Coronavirus is a distraction. Washing your hands is only for your satisfaction. If I ask you, why now? Why is it that we go to extreme measures now? Is it because this is new? Let me inform you that this has been around for centuries. Let's stop talking about the coronavirus. Let's move on to an even more deadly virus, the F virus. We are in this prison, compact with harm, because of the F virus. India is beating people with sticks since they are outside. The US is planning on a 2-week lockdown, while in Wuhan, China, it is already happening. It has gotten so bad to the point where if you sneeze, no one will say, God bless you. I mean, they might even arrest you. Now, what is the F virus? You may have guessed it already, but the F virus is a fear virus. Looking at technology is just a way to infect yourself with fear over and over. Everything from phones to TV screens will infect you. The symptoms include the sudden urge to wash your hands, robbing stores of disinfectant supplies, and less time with the ones you care about. Let me say that the coronavirus is not what we fear. We fear what we hear.
Thank you so much, Derek. Oh my gosh, your young boy is becoming a man. That was a beautiful way to end. Thank you. My screen is showing that Derek is no longer sharing. I think we're good. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Our next practitioner is Caroline Young. She holds her licensure in acupuncture, an MS in Oriental medicine, and she serves as a Chinese medicine practitioner who has a true passion for helping others. Her focus is women's health and fertility, and also sees patients seeking treatment for digestive issues, immune support, psycho-emotional imbalances, and more. At the Pacific College of Health and Science, Chicago, she presides as a clinical instructor and also serves as President Emeritus for the Illinois Society of Acupuncturists. Caroline.
Okay, thank you, Kelly Lynn. And I just want to start off by saying thank you to everyone for joining us tonight for the workshop. It's really wonderful to be here with you. And I'd also like to say thank you to Kurt and Sarah for creating our workshop, to Kelly Lynn for being our moderator, and to Tara for all of the behind the scenes work you did, and to also my fellow practitioners here at Holistic Health Practice. So tonight I wanted to share some information with everyone about using Chinese medicine to treat the body and the shin. And I'm just going to go through a little bit of just general information about Chinese medicine, and at the end share about how we can use different modalities to perhaps prevent and treat, and also during the recovery phase of COVID. And then end with one point to use acupressure on to help with calming the shin. So to just start off with, in Chinese medicine, we are always treating the mind, body, spirit at all times. We don't see that there's any division of any of those. They're always together. And so the shin in Chinese medicine, and Chinese actually means spirit. It's connected to the heart. And we also, when we're using Chinese medicine, whether it's acupuncture or herbs, we're treating channels of energy in the body, and the heart channel is connected to our shin. And you know, within Chinese medicine, I think what most of us are most familiar with is the treatment of acupuncture. But there are the modalities that are used. I use, along with acupuncture, I do use Chinese herbs, also cupping, gua sha, cui na. I do Chinese nutritional recommendations with patients, and recommend Tai Chi and Qi Gong for patients to use, and then also general lifestyle recommendations, which would include like meditation and mindfulness. And so we're actually taught in Chinese medicine school that first talked with your patients about using lifestyle, nutrition, and lifestyle and nutrition before moving into acupuncture and herbs. But we see so many different types of illnesses and symptoms these days that we just customize treatments for patients to best suit them for what they're experiencing. So, as Kelly Lynn mentioned, I do in my practice, I do focus on women's health and fertility, and I've been doing that for the last 12 years. And that is, I see with women's health, I see a lot of different things coming in, including polycystic ovarian syndrome, menopause, endometriosis, dysmenorrhea, and many other things. With fertility, I treat both male and female patients for fertility, and that actually has a lot to do with the shin, because the shin is, the spirit is really where the physical sits on. And so we have to think about all of that when treating. And a lot of my patients coming in are doing a lot of what are called assisted reproductive technology treatments, which can be like IVF and IUI. And Chinese medicine can be integrated into those treatments very, very wonderfully without interfering with what the Western medicine treatment could be, because it can treat whatever the patient actually is going in for, whether it's like maybe an egg retrieval or an embryo transfer. But again, bringing in the treatment of the shin, because that has to be nourished and rooted in order for the physical to be maintained and healthy. Just a few of the things I do see coming in, and again, I'm going to tie this in with COVID in just a moment, but Chinese medicine is wonderful just for general pain. That has a lot to do with the shin, because if we have chronic pain, the shin is eventually going to be affected, most likely. Migraines, digestive issues, vertigo, patients who are going through cancer treatment, whether it's like chemo or radiation, those side effects, Chinese medicine is really helpful to soften the side effects and really help with quality of life. One of the really big parts that we see patients coming in for is psycho-emotional. Patients coming in to want support and help with that. That can be anxiety, fear, panic attacks. I think right now what we're seeing is overwhelm, and that can really be, obviously thinking about the pandemic and how that is affecting all of us, whether it's something that's far away affecting us, or it's like right inside of our own family. And one of the another part of psycho-emotional that we think about is addiction, which actually spans a lot of different things, and the shin is highly affected by that. So, and lastly, one thing I did want to touch on, what we use with Chinese medicine, we use Chinese medicine for, is supporting the immune system. And I have patients who come in to have, they call it an immune boost. They'll come in maybe at the very beginning of the cold and flu season for 5 or 6 treatments in a row over a 5 or 6 week period, and then they go back to their maintenance and preventative medicine program with acupuncture. Because what we think about, one of the channels of energy we think about in Chinese medicine with the immune system is treating the lung energy in the body. So the lung energy is translated over to, we talk about the Wei Qi in the body. That's basically just your defense, your immune system and the defense in the body. We strengthen that when the immune system needs an extra boost. I have patients who come in when they're getting ready to travel and get a few treatments before then to really strengthen that immune system. And so when we think about what we're experiencing now and seeing with the coronavirus is, there's a lot of different ways we can help with this. First off, prevention. And again, I want to say this really quickly too. I would say 95% of my patients who are coming in for they have a goal in mind. They want to resolve an issue, a symptom, or an illness. And then we work on that. And then after that's resolved, hopefully 100%, I recommend please come back in for maintenance and preventative measure. Now, maybe 5% of my patients come in and say, I feel like I'm actually really good. I'm just coming in to keep myself going good. But that's really one of the wonderful things that Chinese medicine does, because it can go in and we do really thorough intakes and see where there may be a deficiency somewhere in the mind, body, spirit, and we just strengthen it. And that's what Chinese medicine is really good at doing. So with COVID and coronavirus, once everybody feels comfortable and safe to perhaps go back to see healthcare practitioners, come in and get Chinese medicine treatments, because it can really strengthen your immune system to hopefully be able to fight it off if we come in contact with it. So when it comes to treating someone that's actively positive with the virus, perhaps maybe Chinese herbs could be an option. But then I think what Chinese medicine can really come in and do is the aftermath. Because from what I understand so far, and I feel like this being a novel virus, that we're still learning, like what are we going to be experiencing when it's over, or when someone actually is sick with the virus and then they're recovering. It seems like there's a lot of fatigue, residual fatigue, a lot of anxiety coming up because perhaps someone was in the hospital or at home for many weeks because of the virus and they have not been able to work. They have not seen loved ones. They haven't even had a hug. And that is so difficult, you know, for us as humans. We just want to hug each other. So really thinking about having patients come in once they are testing negative and they have the strength and they feel safe to come in. Also too, patients who've been intubated. There's a lot of, well, there can be a lot of internal damage. The Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and herbs can help to further along the natural healing your body is already going to do with recovering from that. So again, thinking about that, we're just strengthening the Wei Qi in general, but we have to get to what the root of each patient's deficiency may be to even strengthen more of the Wei Qi to really boost the immune system. So that's what we can do right now and think about in the future too, because, you know, thinking about how this is going to, you know, I would hope that we just flatten the curve, but just trying to be very realistic about things and how we can be of help and be of service to patients in the future. So thinking about this. So, so one really simple acupressure point I wanted to end with, and I know Amie, Dr. Amie talked about acupressure earlier in her wonderful presentation, and thinking about the Shen. So the Shen is basically the spirit. It's just your feeling, it's your emotion. And everybody's Shen changes at all times, but sometimes maybe ours is a little bit more vulnerable and heightened right now because of what we're experiencing with the pandemic. So one really easy point we can think about, and we can do it any time, and you can do it for like 1 second. I would recommend doing it for like maybe 1 or 2 minutes a day, is right by the temples. So I'm just going to like kind of go to the side here to show you, just literally right by the edge of the eyebrow on both sides. And what we can just, and if you want to just try this with me really quick, you can just take just maybe your index finger or take a couple of fingers, and you don't even have to really press, because that can be a sensitive area for everyone. And just, you know, just gently put your fingers right there on your temples. You can close your eyes and just enjoy the quiet moment. You can send an intention of wanting that point to create more calmness in the body, because one of the indications of this point, the Chinese word for it, the Chinese name for it is called Taiyang, is calmness. You can say a prayer over this point. It really is up to you, because it's your Qi and your Shen that you're working with. Qi is a Chinese word that means life energy. So, so yeah, that's a really nice, easy one to just to keep in your back pocket and to do whenever you feel it's needed, or to do it as a preventative measure to keep the Qi, to keep the Shen calm and balanced and rooted. So, so again, I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. It's been really wonderful, and been wonderful to listen to everyone's presentations. It's so much fun, and just thank you again. And I'll send it back over to you, Kelly Lynn.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And please, I want to apologize to you and to all of our attendees. I was remiss in not giving the title of Caroline's presentation. She took that over for me, but just so you know, just as a point of context, and I'm sure you can already know that this is what the title is: Using Chinese Medicine to Support Your Body and Shen. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Oh, thank you, Kelly Lynn.
Yeah, you're welcome. Our next practitioner is Sarah Davenport. In addition to Sarah's role as HHP Executive Director, Sarah Davenport uses her coaching training as well as 30 years experience in business development, marketing, and executive management to help individuals who are looking for positive change in both their personal and professional lives. She provides her clients with a compassionate structure in which to think out loud and create strategies to achieve their goals. Sarah also manages and co-leads various workshops with Kurt Hill. Her presentation is titled Emerging from the Pandemic, Creating Strategies for Successful Post-Quarantine Life. Sarah. Sarah, go ahead and unmute one more time. I saw.
Sorry.
There it is.
There we go.
Got it. Okay, thank
I
you.
thought I did it the first time. There's a lot of gratitude going around here this evening, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to hear. We certainly can use that in big doses today. And I, as executive director here at Holistic Health, must chime in and also thank the practitioners who are participating here this evening. I have learned so much. I am relaxed, calmed. I am, so excited about the hero's journey. There is such a wealth of information here, and just so grateful to all of you practitioners who are taking part this evening. And also a special nod, others have mentioned this, to Kelly as moderator. She and Tara have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to pull this workshop together. Without them, we wouldn't all be here. We are so grateful for their efforts and their energy that is not only evident in this evening, but also in everything that they embrace in working with holistic health practice. As a life coach, I want to thank you, all you Zoomers out there, because you're here when you have a lot of choices to be many places on a Friday night. And whether you're here because you want to connect or reconnect with us and see our faces and hear our voices, because it's been a long time for many of us. If you're curious and you want to just kind of tap in and take advantage of all of this wealth of information that's being disseminated, we are thrilled to have you. And it is an environment of transition and change, and we're all adapting our ways of thinking, our ways of acting, in spite of the enormity of this situation. And we are, as coaches, as practitioners, as healers, this is the kind of stuff that gets us going. We love this challenge, and we really appreciate your walking this path with us this evening. So welcome to everyone. My presentation this evening is really rather simple. I want to share a little bit about the methodology that I use when collaborating with my coaching clients, so that we can take a look at how that might be appropriate for dealing with the situations that we're embracing today. We're facing first and hopefully embracing as we go along. And also to tweak that methodology that is more appropriate for the current conditions. And then finally to pull it all together and see how we can make that work to affect the change that you're looking for. It's a little bit of magic that gives us the power. So we're going to start at the beginning. Whenever I say that, it's a very good place to start. Number one, the beginning question. We look at, what is it that you want to change? This is assuming, therefore, that we're in an environment where we're at the effect of so much that's going on around us and in the world, and yet we have our own little place to try and make something work for us so that our lives can be, more enjoyable, more pleasurable, more productive, whatever it is that we happen to be looking for. So it's important to know, to take the time to identify, what is it specifically that I'm trying to do? What am I trying to accomplish? What do I want? As coaches, we have a tendency to go towards goals and work very hard on goals. I also want you to consider thinking about desires, because there's so much about survival. There's so much that has us fired up about moving forward, but doing the best that we can. But we want to think about the things that bring us happiness and bring us some pleasure and bring us ultimately some joy. Those are definite qualities and concerns to hone in on. In this case also, it might be that you're dealing with stress at home. You're with your family and they're everywhere all the time. And it's been challenging to figure out how to work your boundaries, or maybe after 8 weeks, as Tara said, the boundaries that you had in place are no longer working and it's time to consider something new. On the flip side, you may be experiencing your shelter at home alone, and what the effects of isolation can do and how that can definitely be something that can inspire you to get moving in a different direction. And you know what, for some people, it's just a question of how to make those days at home a bit more satisfying. One of the next things that we look at is what's in the way of getting the things that we are trying to accomplish and meeting our desires. Sometimes, while well-meaning, the people in our lives don't really want us to change. They want to kind of keep us in a place that is more comfortable for them with to deal. And so while that is something that we should be aware of, we also don't want to disclude them, that they're your loved ones. We need them, and we can use them certainly to support us. Other things that can get in the way of moving forward are the general sense of overwhelm right now. It's hard sometimes to focus and to prioritize when everything seems big. And when that happens, there's a tendency to do nothing. So I've heard from people who said, boy, I knew when this thing started, I had this massive expanse of time. I had everything planned that I was going to do. It was going to be museum tours online, and it was going to be cleaning out my closets, and it was going to be all of these things that just didn't happen. And what that leads to is just being stuck and ultimately feeling awful. So you want to kind of be aware of all of the influences that can get in the way of you achieving what you're trying to achieve. The next thing that we do is the process. How do we look at number one, the beginning, and number two, the roadblocks, to move into a place where we can actually realize some possibilities, some resolution about things, and it's the place too where goals are actually actualized. It's the kernel of the work. It's the tough spot. It's the middle, and middles are hard, but there's things to do that can support you in getting through this middle. First, like everyone has been saying, we breathe. We breathe, we stop, we breathe again, and then we dig in. One of the very successful things in working at where we are today and trying to figure out some strategy for going forward is to look at the past and to see what's worked back then. There are some strategies that we've used that can be applicable. This is often used when someone is looking for a new job or in a shift in industry or a shift in career. So it's easy sometimes to look at just some of the specific jobs that we've done, but when we look at transferable skills, it gives you it gives you a better way of applying what your gifts and your talents are into a new area. So that's an important thing to take a look at. However, you don't want to stay too stuck there, because what is going to be required at this time is a deeper and a more vigilant sense of creativity. We need to bust out of our comfort zone. They talk about thinking outside of the box, but some of it is just allowing yourself the opportunity to expand into an area where you might not have gone before. And that's a really, really important aspect of dealing with the times today. It's important to think, as you're looking at all of this in your process, to think of it as it's a laboratory. And we often look at different approaches. We test all kinds of stuff just to see what works and to discard what doesn't. And now more than ever, it's a time to go full force into this. Lay everything out there on the table. Take a look at things that may have been gurgling inside, that now's an opportunity to get them up and out. And as I said before, this can be a little nervy. It can be a little bit scary for people around you who might think that you're crazy for trying to do something that is outside of what their experience of you. So be careful about that. Choose your people who you feel safe with and who you trust to share some of these ideas that you might have. We don't want you to feel crazy. We want you to feel, some ingenuity. We want you to expand your boundaries. Also, aside from the people that you know and trust, there may be some new people that you've been watching, you've been following, you've been inspired as thought leaders. They may be people that you don't know, but you can learn from. And there be some people that are in your past that you could dig into and bring back into your current situation to get some help from. If you're an introvert and you're a researcher and you really just want to dig, there are so many resources available to us. Technology is a miracle. I mean, the fact that we can all be together in this arena right now is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So use that. Use whatever it is that feels especially good for you and that moves you forward. After you gather up all of this stuff, it's time to act on it. It's time to do as much as you can with taking a look at which ideas that you've come up with merit exploration, and then which ones not such a good idea or that you try and then discard. This takes some courage, but it's an adventure, and this is a time more than ever that we need to, bulk up our curiosity, our inquisitiveness, and go for something that could produce a really great result for you in the end. It's also a time, this time in the process is not the time to go for conclusion. It's the time for just discovery and experience. The conclusion part comes in just a minute. So after you've done all of that, and then it's time to assess, reassess, throw out the bad stuff, see how the ones that seem like a good idea or have proven to be a good idea relate back to the goals and the desires and the wishes that you had in the very beginning, and then go for it. Just go for it. After that, give yourself some credit throughout this process. It can be a long journey. It can be alone at times, and you really deserve and need to pat yourselves on the back and give yourself the credit for the accomplishments that you've made in going through this middle stage, and you will have a sense of confidence that will continue to support your movement through your next challenge, through the next piece of your wish list and your goal list that you can embrace and become unstuck. That's the whole purpose, to become unstuck. So in the summary of what I just described, this is a very basic, coaching model and methodology. Many of you have done this, I'm sure, with your coaches and your practitioners and healers. But hopefully revisiting this and then working it will help you through and emerge from this quarantine and through the leaving home to get back at work. So I don't know if you can hear this. Speaking of gratitude, because I can't stop it up. Well, I'm in the city. Kurt and I live in the city in a high rise, and at 8 o'clock Central every time, everybody's out on the balcony pounding pots and pans and screaming their support for the healthcare providers and first responders. It's very, very heartening. It's going on right now as it is 8 o'clock. So another source of great pride and gratitude. So just some takeaways here with regard to what I have said. They're practical. Start at the beginning. As I said, we coaches, we love goals, but don't forget your desires, the things that you can identify that bring you pleasure and bring you joy, as my friend Tara likes to focus on. Be patient and kind to yourself through the process. As the Chinese philosopher said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Do what works through this process and don't do what doesn't. I mean this both personally and as it relates to your goals. If you are finding that you have a habit or you have a way of behaving that gets in the way of your process and your ultimate goals, have the courage and the strength to get rid of it. Let it go. Do whatever you need to do to let it go. Seek support, whatever can motivate you to let go of the blocks that you create for yourself. So do that, and focus, of course, on the things that do work for you, and go for those. Be open, be flexible, trust your creative self. The creative muse visits at sometimes seemingly inappropriate times. The other night, I was lying in bed from 1 until 4 o'clock in the morning with ideas tossed around in my head about what to talk about and just the event itself. And I'm lying there, I'm going, oh, don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. You'll remember all this in the morning. Well, that never works. I changed my normal behavior in that, and I got up and I started writing and came up with, you know, a much better place from where to start. So take advantage of when you're being tugged on. The universe provides signals and provides little ways to make you know you're on track. Be present and be aware to them. They're there. They'll support you. They love you. More breathe fully, deeply, all throughout. Celebrate your progress and be grateful. So in concluding, how do we put it all together? I mentioned about the little bit of magic, and I've also kind of alluded to it a little bit going through here, so I haven't forgotten. And it's the you part. It's the trust that you put in your own instincts, your own intuition, getting comfy with your internal knowing. It's there to serve you. Use it. Kurt talked about it in the beginning of his speech, the centering, the getting in touch with the you. Derek talked about the you-ness of personal power in the hero's journey. It's so much about keeping yourself at the center and in that quiet, in those still places where you are able to connect to the authentic part of who you are so that it can be expressed and taken out into the world, which will serve you through some really, really tough times. Many of you, even most of you, have practices where you have the opportunity to do that. We've heard several of them here this evening, whether it's meditation or journaling or quiet walks through nature, or Sherry mentioned for some people it's cooking. It's whatever it is that works for you. Find it, use it, trust it. Use it for your inspiration and motivation. It will serve you well. And it's the springboard to getting more of what you want out of your life. So I wish you well in your journey, and thank you so much for the privilege of your time.
Sage advice, Sarah. Thank you so much. You know, the reason that something's a cliche is because it's true. So when I say to you, last but certainly not least, we have Sherry Franklin. I really do mean it. Sarah, go ahead and mute your microphone if you would. Thank you, thank you. Sherry Franklin, she is an intuitive life and professional coach, a graduate of both the Integrated Awareness and Avatar programs. As an experienced businesswoman and sought-after inspirational speaker, she knows the importance of integrating intuitive thinking into a model for success. And she delights in helping both individuals and organizations play big and achieve their dreams. Sherry is the author of Intuition, the hidden asset everyone should learn to use, available on Amazon. And the title of her presentation, our last speaker of the night, is Raising Your Vibration, Easy to Do Energy Techniques. Sherry.
Thank you, Kelly. Holistic Health Practice family, I have never been prouder of you all. You all have just done a super job, and you have knocked it out the park. And I got a tough act to follow with you all. Raising your vibration has never been more important than it is right now. And the reason being is our awareness of our feelings is really everything. See, in case you don't know it, a feeling comes first, and then a thought follows the feeling. So if you can pay attention to your feelings, then you can massage your thoughts to create the thoughts that you really want. So when we're raising our vibration, and you know the reason we need to do it is because we're vibrational beings. That means we vibrate at a certain frequency. So you want to keep that frequency up for everything from how you project your energy to others, to building your body's immune system, to just feeling more at peace or happier within yourself. And it's so important now because we have times when we just get overwhelmed with the bombardment of this energy. And so pay attention to your vibration. You know, because there's simple ways that you can raise it. Like one of the ways that I like to raise my vibration is to just have an affirmation that I run through my head when I find myself really just kind of slipping down in energy. So I created one for you today, and it goes like this: 3. No matter the changes, I will always have everything I need. No matter the changes, I will always have everything I need and to share. No matter the changes, I will always have everything I need to progress. And we've got to think about progress now, because we are going to be out of this. And when it happens, you have to have your mind right. And that means consciously we have to lift ourselves up, because there are a lot of things that can knock you down in consciousness. And you have to build your posse around you who is able to sustain you and lift you up. Because if we don't have people around us who are our mind food people, then what happens is we end up really wasting our energy, because we don't have people who really teach us what we need to know. So first of all, pay attention with who you're hanging out with, because that means a big difference in this time period. And you know, in this new reality, you really need friends. And the people who are support you now will be the people who will support you when you come out of this. So when we talk about simple ways to raise the vibration, it depends also on anything from you playing a type of music that you like that just gets you going. Or maybe it's me just saying the words: peace, love, joy, God. Don't you feel better with me just saying those words? We've already raised our vibration. So I'm going to take you through a little energy. I'm going to call it the standing meditation. And I didn't create this, by the way. This was created by Consuela Newton, a teacher of mine. And it's called I Am the Light. Okay? It goes like this. Left hand goes on the solar plexus or your navel. Right hand goes on top of it. It's like a flag. I am the light. The light is within me. The light moves throughout me. The light surrounds me. The light protects me. I am the light. And so it is. I have a very brief closing meditation for you. And if you can close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Take another deep breath in. Let it out. I affirm I'm loved and protected by the light. I affirm light is increasing and healing my body. I affirm the frequencies of the ethers are balancing within me. I affirm I am the light. I affirm the light heals me. And so it is. Take a deep breath. Slowly open your eyes. Peace be with you. Believe you are protected and healed. Thank you for your time.
What an amazing way to end tonight, Sherry. Thank you so much. We are a little bit over our time. We're at 8:10. We would like to pose some questions of our practitioners. We do have a few, so I'm going to try to keep to time here. That we'll do maybe the next 5 to 7 minutes, practitioners, and then, you know, be together in our aloneness afterward. Practitioners, if you would all take your unmute your microphones. I have a few questions, and if anybody's got any more questions, shoot them to me now, and I can hopefully incorporate them. The first question that we have is for Miss Tara, and it's coming from Mary. And Mary, if you would unmute your microphone too. Mary's asking, what do you do when you feel yourself resisting letting go of the fist and not allowing yourself to drop down into your pelvis? What do you do in that moment?
Well, there's the saying, what we resist persists. So the harder that we push against it, the more that the not wanting to do it is going to be there. So instead of resisting, I think it's a good time to get curious about why it is that you don't want to drop back down, that you don't want to let go, that you don't want to be in your body. And listen for the answers. I often like to like write a question out, like why am I resisting this right now? And then like hold my pen really loosely and see what comes out. I'm often very surprised by the answers that my body will give back. So that would be my suggestion to begin with. And it may very well be the part of the reason you're resisting is because like when we're in our bodies is when we can feel pain. There's a reason that we as children learn to disassociate. We take ourselves away so that we don't have to feel as much. It's just that ultimately it doesn't work so well because instead of feeling only what's in here, we end up feeling everything that's out here as well. So I would begin there and just stay with your breath and see where that leads you. But again, like resisting never works. So go with where you are, surrender to where you are, and begin there. We can only begin where we are.
Hillary, did that answer your question? Do you have a follow-up for Tara?
I'm good now. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Love you, Miss Mary. I miss you.
Miss you too.
So the next question we have is for Dr. Amie. Actually, this is one that I have that I'm posing to you, Amie. Why do you encourage us when we're doing deep breathing exercises to breathe through the nose? I practice yoga and I do Ujjayi breath in the yoga that I practice. But I'm just wondering what the difference is in your experience between nasal breathing and open mouth breathing. Oops, Amie, we can't hear you. Go ahead and turn on your microphone. Or, yeah, unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, great question. I mean, you can even see when you're doing the deep breathing, you feel so much when you try it both ways. Besides the science behind it, you feel much more relaxed through the nose and the mouth. The mouth breathing is more sympathetic. It's stimulating more the sympathetic system. So you want to stay more in the parasympathetic system.
Right. So there's the science behind it, I guess, that I've always been looking for in the answer to that question. Thank you.
I know I feel like Tara's the expert in breathing. I dabble in that a little bit with the vagus nerve, but so if she has more to say about that.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Awesome. Moving on to the next question. We have a complement of questions that all like are really around the same topic. And this is for Sherry Belcher, coming from, let's see, the first one that came through was from Hillary. And Hillary asks, what does selenium do? She's heard it's important. Also, Stephanie asked, how do I get it into the diet? And Jessica also piped in, isn't it true that we want to be careful with selenium, especially like in the form of Brazil nuts? She has a personal experience with that maybe Jessica can speak to, that it was too much for her body to process. So Sherry, if you could answer that first, and then Hillary, Stephanie, and Jessica, if you want to pipe in and respond to what she has to say.
So all of these nutrient recommendations are if you need it. If you have adequate levels of selenium, then you do not need to add any other selenium in your diet through Brazil nuts, through other kinds of nuts, through beans and seeds and all. But selenium is it does many, many things in the body, but it acts as a way to inactivate viruses and moderate bacteria. It also helps you build white blood cells from the level of the spleen. It helps a little bit it's a background player in many, many processes, from making digestive enzymes to background player in eyesight. It's used a little bit with hair, skin, nails, and teeth. So it's used in a lot of places in the body. The studies that came out on the supplemental selenium I'm not sure I trust the studies. I only did a cursory glance of them, but I don't think it was a very well done study. And certainly I do think with any of these kind of micro minerals that are out, that you do have to be careful about dosing. And the standard dose is usually about 200 micrograms. And that's where maybe you want to stay. Some people are doing a lot more than that, and that throws out of whack your other micro minerals in your body too. Everything has a synergistic or antagonistic response to each other. So if you do one at a very high level, you throw out of risk the other one. So I can't speak to your experience on Brazil nuts or your selenium status or anything like that. But if you have adequate amounts of these nutrients, then generally you don't take more of them.
Ladies, does that answer your questions? Would you like to follow up in any way, Jessica, Stephanie, or Hillary?
Apparently not.
Were all of the questions about selenium?
No, actually, I have a couple more. PJ was also asking you, Sherry Belcher, how do you get more veggies into your diet? It's really easy to reach for fruit, but you know, spinach in handfuls is not her forte. So ways that PJ can think about getting those veggies in the same way that she'd prefer to reach for fruit.
Yeah, and plus fruit is sweet, I mean, I get it. And so honestly, really, if you give it a try with veggies, and you will start to crave them. The more you do of them, you will really start to crave them, and to acclimate your taste buds to get away a little bit from a lot of sweets. But one easy way to get in a lot of veggies is to make up, and I'll do this with veggies if I have too many veggies and they're starting to wilt, I'll just take garlic, onions, carrots, celery, and some olive or coconut oil, saute that up, throw in a bunch of veggies and some water, simmer them. Something like spinach, you don't even need to simmer. You can throw in it at the end and puree it all and make a soup, add some lemon juice to it and a dash of cayenne and salt. And so you're drinking all of these veggies in a soup form. It's slightly filling. You're getting in a lot of great nutrient value. So that's a very easy way to do it. Getting microgreens or fresh herbs is another really, really simple way to do it. So those would be some ways I could suggest there.
One more question for you, Sherry. I guess our nutritionist is really sought after this evening. When's the best time to be taking vitamin D? I've heard that it's actually coming from me again.
Okay.
I've heard that it's good to do like when you're eating fatty foods, like that's the best for its absorption, but it's only something that I've tangentially heard. So curious to find out when you find it's best.
And I've heard some things that say otherwise, but I have historically always said that, vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. It is best to take it with the meal. Most of the meals that we take do have some fat, but it releases digestive enzymes and bile that can help you process the vitamin D better. So I've read a couple of other things that said perhaps taking it at bedtime. I don't know. I think taking it with the meals. Yeah.
Awesome. Tara, we have another question for you from Alex. He asks, what advice would you give to an essential worker like himself that is out in the thick of the threat for quieting oneself as opposed to being stuck at home in the safe zone?
Yeah. The breathing exercise that we did is one that you can do anywhere. I will often do it, not with my eyes closed, obviously, but you can focus on your tailbone and breathe while you're driving in the car. I have been known to take a step away from my desk at the office and spend some time breathing through my tailbone. all of that. Your breath is with you wherever you are, and so that can be really helpful, regardless of where we happen to be in the moment. Obviously, doing everything that needs to be done as far as keeping yourself safe, all of the precautions and wearing your mask and washing your hands and doing all of those things that are going to help keep you safe helps to cut the anxiety. And making sure you're getting enough sleep and that you're eating well, all of the things that help keep our wells full. I would also say that one of the ways of sort of keeping ourselves steady is to make sure we're having some fun. right? You can't give from an empty cup. And pleasure and joy and fun, as Sarah was talking about earlier, those are the things that help keep our wells full. And you can give from a full well, you overflow with it, and you can give away what you, the extra that you've got, but you can't give from an empty one. So being on the front lines, making sure that you are getting enough, that you are prioritizing your own needs is really essential. We can't take care of anyone else if we're not taking care of ourselves. And so that would be my number one recommendation.
Alex, does that answer your question? Do you have any additional feedback for Tara after that?
It did answer my question. Thanks, Tara.
Thanks, Alex. Nice to see you.
Hi,
So
Tara.
we have, we are at the end of time for our question and answers, and I think I've covered everyone's questions. Hold on one second. Oh, Brian, you just sent a really great bit of information about what we just talked about. If you would send that directly to Alex, I'm sure he would appreciate that. That would be great. We're getting such great thank yous from everyone this evening. We thank you for being here. In closing, I just have a couple of things to let you know about. And Michelle, hang on. I'm going to address your question to Sherry Franklin too, because it's part of the information that I have in making our closing statements for tonight. You guys, thank you all for spending time with us tonight. It was our honor and privilege to be here for you and offer this for you tonight. Before you leave the meeting, please be sure to check the chat feature, make a note of our website address, our email address, and phone number for future contact with us if you don't already have those things. There are a few of you that were messaging me that sounded like you could be new to our practice. I didn't immediately recognize your names. So please make sure that you have that information at your disposal before you leave tonight. Also, all of our practitioners are consulting with clients at this time, and some are offering services through various conferencing media, just like we're doing right now. Also, today's workshop has been recorded. So, Michelle, in answer to your question, it will be available for download. Michelle was asking Sherry Franklin, can we have that beautiful meditation that you took us through on the hand gestures? She wanted a video of that so that she can replicate that. So we will, please reach out to us if you would like this digital experience to be something that you have and you maintain and you can refer back to. We'd love to provide it to you. And you know, that's the end unless anybody else has anything to say. I'd like to say, everybody turn on your microphones right now and give our practitioners a big round of applause. Good job, guys. Yay!
Thank you.
Yay!
Everyone.
Good night, everyone. We encourage you to continue your mindful practice of caring for others by caring for yourself first. Have a great evening.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Love
Bye.
you.
Night.